Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Chris and Brick Business Edition, episode 5. If you thought that we were gone, we're not gone. We're still here, and we're going to come back more and more. Brick and I actually were having a really interesting conversation about micromanagement and the potential harmful effects of that, which actually turned us to a different perspective, which is macromanagement and the potential harmful effects of that. As you grow in your responsibilities as a manager and a leader in an organization, it seems like it becomes often a trend that the higher up you move, the more disengaged you become with members of the team, and that I have seen really have an impact on the culture. I've seen it have an impact on, it shows up in ways you don't necessarily want it to, through, say, negative reviews on places like Glassdoor or other prominent business sites where they can review the quality of the employer. So, it's just really important, I think, that even if you're the CEO, the senior vice president of a department or of an entire division or what have you, it's really important that you stay connected and genuinely connected. People are doing their work day in and day out, and I know that we've got to stay busy and we've got to get our work done and all of those things. But as a senior leader, while you're working on strategy, one of your strategic elements really needs to be staying engaged and knowing your people so that you can head off some potential problems before they become really serious. If it's employee morale, if it's other areas of concern about how the business is being run, about how the departments are being managed and so forth, the employees that you deal with, while they may not be your direct responsibility in that moment, they are yours in the larger scheme, because you're that senior leader. And so macro management, I'll call it, is just as potentially dangerous as micromanagement, unless you're able to actually really fill your team leadership with the skills that they need. And that's where I think some level of really good coaching comes into play. So I'm not saying that it happens in every case. I am saying it does exist, though, and oftentimes it goes overlooked because as a senior member of the team, you're expecting your junior leadership to go out there and make sure these problems are addressed. Well, sometimes they want to see your face, they want to hear your voice as the one that's actually driving the direction and the vision and the mission of the business. So, I can't emphasize enough the times that, I've even observed where I've had an amazing inspirational moment just because the CEO came around and said hello and said, "Hey, how are you?" and stopped at my desk and asked me a few questions. Even if he wasn't entirely engaged, he certainly came off as entirely engaged. And it's a lot to ask. Don't get me wrong. I think that in order to do that, you have to plan it, obviously, especially if you have hundreds or thousands of people in your care. So, in the scope of management and leadership, when it comes to the people that run the teams and make the team successful, when you have grown to a level of responsibility where you really spend more of your time on the strategic aspect of growing the business, of improving and streamlining and optimizing the way the business runs, it doesn't excuse you from the requirement of staying engaged with your actual team members. So macromanagement is something to really think about, and think about it in a way of, am I macromanaging in a healthy fashion? Am I keeping my leadership informed and engaged enough that they're able to share information back to the team if I can't get to them? Can they be my voice and can they be my face, so to speak? in conjunction with that, if you feel like they can, that's great. I still would say I think it's really important that senior leadership gets out there and does a little bit of handshaking and high-fiving and just really appreciating everyone, because I mean, it's a currency that goes a long way in an organization when you have an approachable senior member of the leadership team that wants to say hi, connect. Somebody that when you see him in the break room, you don't feel awkward or intimidated to engage with them. So, just some things to keep in mind. I think that micromanagement is definitely one that we've talked about, like I say, over the years, and it's always gotten a really bad rap, or for the most part, it's gotten a bad rap. But I've also discovered that there's a potential for macromanagement to actually cause just as much potential harm, and in some cases even more in a larger way, if people feel like they're lost in a sea of people or processes. So, give that some thought. I'd love to hear some perspectives from anyone. Brick, actually, this is one of those areas where we were talking about it, and for once, not once, but for once in a while, he and I are in agreement that this is just as important as the potential, effects of micromanagement. Macromanagement can also have some of those same blowbacks. So, that's it. That's it for today's edition. Looking forward to speaking to everyone tomorrow, and we'll have another topic for you. So, buckle up. We'll talk soon.